Is that working? Cool. New camera. New Logitech. Happy Saturday. Today is Saturday, January 7th, the first official Saturday of the new year. 1 week ago, we were ushering in 2023. A little bit rocky start. 7 days in, so far so good. Things could be worse. How are you guys doing? Sorry for the lateness, but I was dealing with an issue with a customer's card, so I had to get on the other computer to do it. So let me go ahead and say hi to the chat, and then at that point, I will go ahead and bring in my wingman here. All right, so yes, happy Saturday, Hal. That dude, what's going on, man? I go to bed, love 10 things I hate about you film. Okay, I've seen that movie actually. How you doing, Protest? Hold on for a second. All right, so it's me talking. William Powell, WWE have interest in Hikuleo Tamatanga from New Japan Wrestling in Japan, and do you think that Jay White will join them in WWE versus Judgment Day? I don't know. I know that they set up that loser leaves New Japan match that they got coming up. Jay White's contract is coming up soon, but there are other places he can go. And a lot of it's going to depend on one of the topics that we're going to be talking about here is who is going to even be owning WWE to even be signing these guys. I mean, is it, if Vince McMahon and the company sell, is it going to be, who's going to be running the show? And is that somebody you want to sign with? A lot of people are really positive about Triple H and how he's been running things. But at the same time, if they sell, he'll have no control. He'll have no stake to it unless he buys it. But I don't think Triple H has the financial capital to purchase WWE. I think WWE is probably going to end up being about $1.5, $2 billion company. So there are other places he could go. All those guys could go, but they could also sign with New Japan or re-sign with New Japan. One of the things about New Japan is that they let you roam and you can go into other major federations. You can go into AEW. You can go into AAA. You can go into MLW. So if you go to WWE and you don't think that you're making as much as you can, they don't really allow you for the most part. Very rare for them to allow you to do extra bookings. Whereas with New Japan, you can as long as you give them the bulk of your time, you generally will. Hold on for a second. Let me make sure this is right. And so yeah, it all depends on A, who owns it. B, what kind of counteroffer New Japan makes them. So we'll get back on that, though, because we're going to be talking some wrestling pretty soon here. How you doing, Thade? Well, you're here, but I'm going to bring you in a second. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Today's not a Midnight Express. Last night was. Hunter, William Powell. Okay, yeah, I read that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in Thade real quick. How you doing, Thade? What's going on, man?
What's up?
Were you able to get your issues fixed?
I don't know really because I didn't have a problem with it yesterday when I did a show.
Okay. So, I don't hear myself echoing yet, but let's knock on wood.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So far, so good. I don't have too much to talk about. My two main topics. I know a lot of you are not necessarily into wrestling, but I will hit on the WWE stuff because some people did bring up some questions. Not much going on in the comic book movie. Yeah, I am echoing. I'm still echoing. I can hear me. Not much going on in the comic book movie thing. I mean, we've heard some little things. All we know is that the DC slate sometime during this month is going to get released. And that it may not be a full reboot. But once again, we don't have enough information to get excited over one way or another. So I'm going to go ahead and wait. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to. Oh, by the way, last night's episode of Midnight Express was absolutely ridiculous, by the way, guys. I jumped on randomly just to talk, and we ended up having almost 2 hours of talking serial killers. And not just talking serial killers. We were going in depth, like methods and motives.
The link.
What's up? What's up?
You should have sent me the link. I would have come in and talked. I didn't
think it was going to turn into that. What ended up happening is because of my my promo, because we're doing Project Ripper this week, Friday and Saturday, where we reenact all 5 of the Ripper murders in our plaza here, and then we invite in guests to solve the murder. And so that's the promo I had. And while I was explaining that promo, people just kept asking me questions about serial killers. And it's a field that I consider myself as somewhat of a aficionado in. So,
well, having worked for the county morgue for years and having done murder cases myself, I've got a lot of knowledge when it comes to.
Yeah, we were all over. We were talking BTK. I mean, we were talking about some obscure. All right, great question here. William Powell, should Universal buy? Yes, they're the only ones that I think would gain anything by buying WWE. Everybody mentions these big dollar companies, but they don't need WWE. Comcast and Universal are already in bed with WWE right now because of Peacock. They have access to WWE's library. And that's big money and big, it's a big deal. And the problem you're going to have if it's not Universal and it's some other thing, they lose that library. They still may have a TV deal, but it would be under someone else's negotiation power. Right now, they have the deal in place. So it makes more sense for anybody that Comcast makes sure that no one else gets it. That's what literally has to happen. Comcast, to me, out of all the companies that would buy for it, there are plenty of other companies that have money to buy it. Or maybe Apple could buy it theoretically. Hold on for a second. Nope. Okay. Apple could buy it. Amazon could buy it. Tony Khan could buy and sell WWE 3 times over, but he doesn't need it. Apple doesn't need it. Amazon doesn't need it. Comcast definitely needs it. WWE is a major part of their programming. And like I said, through Peacock, they already have access. They would lose access to all those WrestleManias, all those SummerSlams, all those pay-per-views. And that's a big deal for them. So if anybody needs to pony up, it's got to be. To me, it's a must that it's Universal, Comcast, Peacock. All right. If Universal does buy WWE, you think no. And I no. If I'm buying the company, I am I don't see any reason to keep any of those people. And I don't know if they want to even stay, because remember, even though Vince McMahon is out, the backstop of their regime has always been the fact that they're family. I don't know if Triple H would want to stay. He would probably open up his own wrestling company, but who knows? But if I am buying Comcast, no, I want every McMahon out of there, simply because just having them there would be a problem with whoever you put in there under a power structure. You would always be butting up against the McMahon family. So it could happen, but I think that whoever bought them would, unless Comcast decides, you know what, you guys have something that works, we're going to let you do it. It could happen that way. I doubt it, but Comcast might be paying the money just to make sure everything stays status quo, because they do not want to lose WWE right now. All right, did Vince McMahon come back as owner? Well, he owns the majority of the shares no matter what. So he was just off of the board. He was no longer chairman of the board because of the whole allegation things. But what he did is he forced his way back in. He's the only one that could sign off on a sell. So he was not going to sign off on a sell as long as he was on the sidelines, because he's a majority shareholder. The company cannot be sold. Now, he wants to sell it from what I hear, but he wants to be involved in the negotiations and everything else, which is, I guess that's fine. I mean, to me personally, I just want it sold from him. I want something that's watchable again, and it hasn't been watchable for the last quarter century, to be honest with you. Hey, how you doing, Larry? Hey, Larry, everybody's saying hi to each other. All right, just all the highs are out of the way. So yeah, basically, like I said, big wrestling geek that I am, I watch it all. I mean, I don't watch as much WWE as I watch everything else, but I do know what's going on, and I knew about this. And like I said, WWE's value isn't as high, in my belief, because back in the day when ratings, people were 6 million people a night were watching wrestling, those days are gone. You have 1.5, 2 million, in some cases 3, but the only channel that really can't afford to lose WWE is the one that currently has them. Nobody else really needs it. You know, obviously Warner Brothers has AEW, and even though AEW isn't WWE, they're a pretty big deal, and they have more of an upside because they've only been around for what 3 or 4 or 5 years than WWE, who has market saturation at this point. So TNT, TBS isn't going to need them. I don't see Amazon needing. Amazon can dive in and they're going to get actual, competitive sports like football and everything else. And Apple, has put their money towards Major League Baseball. I just can't see anybody else needing it as much as Comcast does. And they'd be bidding against themselves because no one else is going to bid. That Comcast is usually who fucks people when it comes to bidding because they drove up the price for Fox. Fox was not worth $74 billion. Fox was worth $74 billion because Comcast drove up the bidding to stick it to Disney. But in this case, Comcast would be, bidding against themselves, and Disney's not going to buy WWE. They have no use for it. So they're not going to be bidding against them. So it's just a matter of, to me, there's only one possible suitor out there that makes any sense. But, some other people could get involved. But like I said, you're basically buying, the library, and because like I said, everybody else has contracts. You're buying the library, and you're not even buying the DV deal. Because the deal with Comcast is contingent upon having WWE programming on the network. But you have Fox that carries SmackDown. I don't think Fox, like I said, I do not think Fox Sports or Disney would buy it because they just don't have, they don't need it. I mean, SmackDown barely draws now on Friday nights, and they have that. So I'd say it would be Comcast and who else, How you doing, Sean? William Powell, I think Triple H should stay because he's CEO, creative freedom, and talent relationship with him. Okay, I hear a lot of people say that, and that's fine, but as innovative and as different as Triple H may be, he still learned from within that family. He's still basically a McMahon. He married into the family, but he pretty much, he's part of the culture, in my opinion, even though he's a better part of it. He's part of what WWE has been since the late 90s. And if I'm running a company and I think it all depends. Do you think you can do better than what they're doing now? Do you think the value of the company dropping is due to those people? And if you think that you can raise the value of the company, you're probably going to bring in brand new people. And like I said, does Triple H want to work for a boss that is not a McMahon? I mean, he's been given free reign. Even when Vince comes back, he's probably going to still be Triple H as the executive. But under a new regime and under new ownership, I know if I bought WWE, they're gone. They're gone. Not to disrespect or dislike them, but if I'm going in a totally new direction, Triple H represents everything that's been WWE the last 25 years, and not all of it is good. In fact, a lot of it is not good. There's a reason why they're selling, because the company doesn't have the value that it once did. So, okay. Was WWE Network still on Peacock? Yeah. And that's why, like I said, I cannot believe that Comcast will let anybody buy WWE. If that happens, wow, that would shock the shit out of me. It could happen because we're not soothsayers. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But they have the most to lose if someone else buys up Peacock. Because then they have to basically get access from someone else, or they have to contract access out. If they go ahead and buy it, they have everything in-house. And then they can drive up their premium because you have to have premium subscriptions to watch the pay-per-views on Peacock. So if they lose that, I mean, if Amazon were to buy, Amazon gets all that. Amazon gets the library. Amazon gets the rights eventually once the Peacock contract runs out. Amazon's not going to renegotiate. They're going to immediately follow Amazon. So it has to be Comcast. I mean, if Comcast lets that slip through their hands, that's foolishness. But William, have you checked the Dark Side of the Ring? A huge WWF fan. I'm scared to watch some of it, but I'm trying to check out. Not just as a WWF fan, WWE fan, I think as a wrestling fan in general, a lot of the dirty shit happened in the WWE because of when you had a monopoly. A lot of guys just it wasn't the fact that WWE necessarily did it to them. They did it to themselves because they didn't want to lose their spot. from 2001 all the way up to 2017, you had a lot of guys that built up a lot of health issues, and some of them died simply because once they reached the top, if you got injured, you lost your spot. So you had to keep your body there. You had to perform in pain. That's the painkillers. So a lot of the dark side of the ring stuff is based on a time period where, because there was a monopoly and guys didn't have anywhere to go. Nowadays, if you could literally walk out on WWE and within 90 days walk into AEW or walk into New Japan if you wanted to, and then be in New Japan, walk back into AEW. You could go into Ring of Honor. You can go into AAA. You can wrestle all over the world. Back when a lot of the stuff that's happening with the dark side of the ring, there was nowhere to go to make the type of money. So they put themselves under a lot of physical and mental pressure, and a lot of guys are going to have permanent ramifications for that. So as a wrestling fan in general, it's hard to watch.
WWE, that show, Dark Side of the Ring. I actually like that show. I've watched a few episodes of it.
Yeah, it's hard to watch because it's true. Most of it is so true. The Chris Benoit one was like, I almost couldn't sit through that. And then we know more about, listen, I will never forgive Chris Benoit for what he did to his wife and kid, but knowing the medical and scientific consequences of what his brain was, the dead spots that were in his brain, I will never forgive him, but I have a better understanding of what was going on than I did prior to Dark Side of the Ring. So I'll give them that credit. And like I said, I don't know, knock on wood again, I don't know how Ric Flair is still alive. Him and Keith Richards put whatever they possibly could through their bodies in partying hard, and those guys are probably going to live to be 300 years old. So, like other guys, like the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, Roddy Piper, all these guys just did the work on their bodies, because they could not. And once you reach the top, you just didn't want to give it up because you didn't know how long you were going to be there. Not everybody was Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan got there and stayed there. But most guys got there, came in and went out, came in. Look at the Honky Tonk Man. Once he had his little IC Intercontinental reign, he went back into obscurity doing indies. So they put their bodies through so much hell just to stay on top for as long as they can. But when you get older, respiratory system, heart starts shrinking, and these things start to kill you. And Dark Side of the Ring really, like I said, as a diehard wrestling addict, it is hard for me to watch because they're doing all this, not just for themselves. Some of these guys are doing it just to entertain us. And I'm like, is it worth it? I love wrestling, but dude, I'm okay with you not doing that extra high spot that might give you that concussion. I'm okay with that. I watched Wrestle Kingdom the other night, and there was an inverted DDT that Kenny Omega did with Will Ospreay. It was a DDT, and Will Ospreay's head hit the steel wing pros. They both came down. He fell out of the ring, and I'm sitting there, saying to myself, please move. Please move your leg. Please move your arm so I know that you're not paralyzed or worse. And then he gets back up, and they continue to do damage to each other. And I'm like, I'm part of the reason because I'm like, damn, that match was fucking amazing. But at the same time, all the guys are all ripped up and cut, and a lot of roids were going around. Steroids wasn't the biggest issue though that did the damage. It was the painkillers and the oxycodines and all that shit that fucked up your heart and messed with your central nervous system. If steroids was the only thing, I think there'd be a lot more guys alive, because a lot of the steroids that they were using then, they reconfigured them chemically to they take out the antibiotic stuff, and now they're stuff that you can buy in GNC. But painkillers is something that the danger to pain from painkillers has been consistent for like the last 50 years. So it's tough, man. Harold McMahon also owns the rights to the name of NWA. And he does not own the rights to the name NWA. He owns WCW. In WCW, it basically was dissolved to the point where it's just their library. All right. NWA is owned by Billy Corgan. In 1988, Jim Herd sold. Jim Herd and Jim Crockett sold. They went into partnership with Ted Turner, and and from 1988 on, it was WCW. So it was WCW. But what ended up happening as the partnership broke up, NWA split up and became went back to being its own thing. So NWA is not part of WCW. WCW is what Ted Turner turned his version of it in going forward. So all the titles, if you notice, all the belts changed. The only belt in WCW that didn't change was the big gold belt. It changed for a little bit when Ric Flair left the WWF with it, but when they sued and got it back, they got that. That was the WCW championship from that point on till the end of WCW. The WCW tag teams, they ended up having a tournament where they were still in partnership, but NWA held the tournament and WCW held the tournament. And I remember Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Gordy won those tournaments. But no, NWA, he does not own the name NWA. He owns anything that has WCW on it and WCW footage on it. That's all he owns. So, but okay, he should sell them, as people in the South know the brand. Well, like I said, NWA is, like I said, Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins owns NWA, so that belongs to him. WCW, I don't know. WCW was a much larger conglomerate after the NWA broke off of it. It pretty much mirrored what WWF was at the time. I don't know if bringing it back would do any good, especially with AEW already out there. It's no longer a regional sport. Like when I was growing up, you had the regions, you had the Midwest, you had AWA. NWA wasn't one complete faction at one time. It was several things. Mid-Atlantic Wrestling was the most powerful brand of it, and that's what Jim Herd and Crockett used to buy up all the other ones to become a solidified NWA. But the territory days are over because of the fact that back when the NWA was at its height, you couldn't watch it everywhere until it got on the Superstation. So if you were in the South, you were watching regional wrestling that wasn't being aired. Like AWA, Vern Gagne's Federation, I couldn't watch that in LA. They only had regional television rights. Nowadays, you have every major wrestling stable either has a streaming deal or they have a national television deal. So you would know. So if you're in the South, you know about every wrestling promotion. So I see what you're saying, but it's not necessary now. No. I haven't been excited about a Transformer movie since the first Transformers. They've gotten increasingly dumber and dumber with each following one, and like Bumblebee was got a step in the right direction, but I just never got into it. That first Transformers movie was amazing, but after that they just kind of like fell off. Warner can't afford them anyway. No, that is not true. You're only talking about a $1 to $3 billion company. And people need to understand that Warner Brothers is not broke. There's a difference between making cuts so that you can get a debt management plan in place and write downs, because if you don't, it drives down the value of your company and drives down your stock. They have money. Warner Brothers will spend on things that matter to them. They're not broke. And even if you didn't have a dime in your pocket, which is not true, they have billions. You have financiers, you have other people. Like when a movie is made, the studio doesn't pay for the movie. That movie's made on borrowed money. They get their cut after the dollar's made. But no, Warner Brothers is not broke. I mean, Warner Brothers doesn't need them. The only thing that would stop Warner Brothers from buying WWE is they don't need them. They have a good deal with Tony Khan. It would make no sense to bring WWE television onto their networks when they have 2 AEW shows on there already, and the third one possibly to come. Go ahead.
You said earlier about Peacock buying them is really who should buy them. I mean, if anybody.
Yeah, it's Comcast, which is Peacock and Universal, and that's it. But no, but on the off topic, people stop saying Warner Brothers is broke. They have to cut spending because they bought a $46 billion debt that wasn't theirs, but it's still dragging down the value of their dollar. So every dollar that they make, they are losing percentage on interest. So they have to do this.
Present company excluded, Plushy. I'm not meaning you exactly, but like most people don't understand how these businesses work anyway, William. It's all done by investors.
Yeah.
You know? And so you're not necessarily broke. You just have to pick and choose what you do when you're trying to consolidate, especially after a merger.
Yeah. Warner Brothers is so broke that they're about to drop $4 million on a Super Bowl commercial, even though that those plans were already in place from the previous regime. They hadn't been paid for yet. So that money's coming from the Zaslav regime. They're about to spend a whole bunch of money to promote the Flash. They will spend money on things that matter to them, and they were going to cut things that they don't deem profitable, like them cutting the animation division. They have deemed it not profitable. That doesn't mean they're broke. They just don't want to waste money. They're not in the position to waste money. Now, if they were to buy a WWE and you got with a financer and said, I know we're restructuring, I know we are cutting this, cutting that, but buying this here increases the value. It'll drive our stock up and it'll bring us revenue. Then you can go to your stockholders and say, yeah, we need to make this purchase. And then we start doing dividends and stock buybacks and everything else to make that happen. If Warner Brothers wanted WWE, and they don't, they could buy them. But they already have a federation. They already have a great deal with Tony Khan. They already have 2 shows, and with a third one to come. They already have access to Ring of Honor via Tony Khan. So they don't really need them. That's the only reason that they wouldn't buy them. But as far as them having money, they got enough to do what they they're not the little sisters of the poor. They're not clicking coupons. All right. Oops. The only saving grace for Disney is the purchase of Fox. The only saving grace for Disney in the purchase of Fox was the stake in Sky in Europe and beyond, which is worth a lot of money. Yeah, because everybody's like, well, they got the Fantastic Four and they got the X-Men. They got all the characters under their wing. Yes, I agree. That's good for them. But they paid $74 fucking billion for Deadpool and the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Even let's say every single one of those movies makes $1 billion and have 3 sequels that all make $1 billion each, right? The math, that ain't $74 billion. So yeah, and like I said, people are like, Disney can buy this, Disney can buy that. No, Disney's butthole is still swollen from $74 billion on. And remember, they just lost $4 billion. They just lost $4 billion on Disney Plus. And there's, so Disney is not this monolith. And remember, Disney's got to be careful because spending that kind of money on the entertainment industry, that is not where Disney makes their money. $38 billion a year annually is pulled in from the parks. They could shut down the movie division and they wouldn't lose any money. I mean, I know that they like to have them connected because it drives revenue to the park, but the parks is the cash cow. So I don't see them buying. I mean, Disney could buy them and have like WrestleMania theme parks, but I don't think WWE is there in that kind of value. If this was WWE of like the mid 90s or the early 2000s before the trash era begun, when they were worth a lot more when they first went public, I could see the attraction being there. But the value of the company in general is just not something I would throw that kind of money on unless I was Comcast. That's just my opinion. All right, did I know they would inherit WCW, ECW, TNA? No, they would not. TNA is owned by Anthem Sports, and Anthem Sports owns all of TNA's properties. TNA is an independent company. They are now called Impact Wrestling, but Impact Wrestling and TNA they own their own thing. ECW and WCW, yeah, because Paul Heyman ran that into the ground and it went bankrupt, and he took the scrappings of it. WCW, ECW, yeah. TNA, no. Anthem Sports owns TNA Impact now, and they have no plans on selling. All right, Disney purchased the Fox. May the hand of Gan be with you. How you doing, Prime? What's going on, sir? William Powell, so the WWE 2K contract stay with Universal if they buy. Yeah. And they what happened? Go ahead.
That's a video game contract, right? 2K2.
Yeah, it's the same thing what Sony does with their IPs that they own. They license them out, or they can license them within. I mean, but they would be the ones controlling that license. So if you bought WWE, okay, so that there's existing contracts for anybody else. As soon as those contracts are up, those IPs fall back to you. So that would be very, very lucrative, in that regard. And that does anything that any intellectual IPs, whether it's a WWE cartoon, a toy, a belt, WWE shop sells those belts, the kind of belts that me and Enosh have. So there's revenue to be made, not as much as it used to be, but like I said, for Comcast, I mean, I'm like, if I hear about somebody else purchasing WWE and it's not Comcast, I'm like, what? Why? What? It's got to be them. It's got to be them. It just doesn't make any sense for it to be anybody else. Unless I'm missing something. I could be missing something. Like I said, just like with the whole DC situation, there's so much shit that we'll find out that we're all going to be made to look stupid eventually. But I don't see I mean, do you see anything?
No, I don't see any reason why anybody other than Peacock should buy WWE.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's plain and simple right there. What's up, Chappie? How you doing, brother?
All right. So let's see. Yeah. I remember watching. I will never, ever, ever.
The one who fell in the ring.
Yeah. I will never forget that day. Sunday, I think May. I was in May. I forgot exactly what the actual date was, but I was watching No Way Out. I was watching.
Yeah, we saw that, and they cut out, didn't they?
Yeah, they cut out. Because he was coming in from a different camera angle, and the camera angle which he fell. Once they realized that, they stopped. Once he fell, you could see that part, but you didn't see him. You didn't actually see him, fall. There's another camera angle that caught it, but it was never public until the lawsuit. But we at home, I didn't see it on my West Coast feed. I didn't see it. And I remember, him being taken back, and then the pay-per-view came back on, and you saw Jerry the King Lawler as if he had lost his own son. And these guys because they're telling him to go on with the show because they didn't know what to do, and everybody's saying they should have canceled the show. But a lot of people were still in shock that it never happened like that in the ring before, and a lot of people were still, he wasn't pronounced dead until a little bit later in the program, and they came in and interrupted the broadcast. And I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, oh my goodness! And the conference that Vince McMahon gave afterwards was like, I mean, that had to be his worst day. That had to be his worst day. His eyes were all bloodshot. Everybody was in shock. Owen Hart was, I mean, the Hart family in general, but Owen Hart was at the top of his career. At the time, he was still playing the Blue Blazer, which was a popular character for him. He was only 32 years old, 32, 33 years old. I mean, and to have that happen to him. And that's when I saw this football player from Buffalo, because what Owen Hart, the cause of death was blunt force trauma and heart disruption, the autopsy said, and some internal bleeding. That's exactly what that guy, because he got hit at a certain angle that it disrupted the electronic rhythm of his heart. But in Owen Hart's case, they were never able to resuscitate him. So when I'm watching that football thing, all I could think about was Owen Hart.
Yeah.
All I could think about was Owen Hart. And I'm so happy that guy is talking. He's talking. He's posting on Instagram now. I don't know if he'll ever play football again, but you know what, dude? Be a commentator, be a coach, live. I am glad you did not lose your life at 24 years old from a freak accident. Oh my God. Go ahead, man.
I said exist, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right. So I can't believe that we might see WWE not in control of the McMahons anymore. This will be the end of it. Could be not really. Be honest with you. Like I said, I grew up watching what I think is the best of WWF. It hasn't been that good the last 25. I've been watching wrestling since 1982. All right. I don't think the WWE product has been that great since then. I think there are great moments. I think there are great individuals and great performers and great performances, but as a cohesive product, it's my least favorite promotion. There's sometimes when it's just been bad. The booking has been bad, and we're right in the middle of bad booking with Roman Reigns. It's just they've ran out of ideas. I think that the reason why there is a sale to begin, I think they've run out of steam. I think they've run out of ideas. I don't think they need to get any better. So, the McMahons of mid 80s and the late 90s being I'll miss them. But the McMahons of the last 15, 20 years, that them going away ain't gonna hurt the WWE product. It'll probably improve it, in my opinion. But the name Vince McMahon has been connected to that federation since his father. And like I said, Vince McMahon deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, no matter what, just not for anything he's done in the last 25 years. All right, James Gunn said he's already wrote 1/3 of the Untitled show as well. I don't know. He's giving me a Jeff Johns vibe. Ooh, oh fuck no! Don't please. Hey, listen, We don't compare anybody to that guy. WWE can't be that cash poor that they can't afford another writer. James Gunn is a pretty expensive writer, and they're not cash poor. People stop this. They're not cash poor. But Jeff Johns is not a filmmaker. That's the problem. You can't compare James Gunn to
Jeff Johns.
Yeah,
he should have never ever been put in this position where he had any control over films. All right, he's a great storyteller. If he has an editor that says no, you can't do this. Yes, you can do this. James Gunn is a storyteller on a cinematic level, so he's more suited for it. And he's not cheap, by the way. You're getting James Gunn at probably the most expensive you're going to get James Gunn. So that alone destroys the cash poor notion of it. But as far as once again, the only thing wrong here is we don't know what he's writing. See, and we don't know, and that's the thing. Now, if he writes some crap, I'm gonna call it crap. But if he writes something good, I like to see. But he has a leg up on Jeff Johns already, because Jeff Johns literally is a comic book writer. James Gunn is a cinematic storyteller, so it is not even in the same league. Thay, this one's for you. Currently, go ahead. Currently remembering the face of my father, reading Gwendy's Button Box trilogy, featuring Flag, maybe. Okay,
yeah, so that's actually a pretty good story.
I wish I still read. I might jump into that. I only read comic books now.
Stephen King's newest.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely not reading it then, because I'm sorry, you already know how I feel about my last incursion with him. John Collins. Vince McMahon is selling now because he can get a lot out of the stock options. If you would get rid of all the McMahons after the sale, would you? Who would you put in place? And did you say? Yeah, AEW has more upside because they're newer. What's happened with WWE is they put out a certain brand for so long that the general audience, the wrestling audience, has just become desensitized. All right. It just has become desensitized of what they're doing. Their numbers show it. Their stock is all right, but it's not like it was. And like I said, it's not the same. Where you have WWE right now is you have name brand. You have name brand, and everybody attaches the name brand and thinks the name brand means everything is going great. But if the name brand and Vince selling now because he can get a lot out of the stock options, that's not going to change. That's not going to change next year. That's not going to change the year after. He's always going to get the most out of the stock options because he owns the majority of the stock. He literally can control the stock price by owning over 50% of the product. So he could have sold that years ago at a much higher rate than he could now. He's going to get hit with capital gains taxes. So it's not like he's getting all that money, because they're going to hit they're going to hit him because his company, where his company's based at. But I mean, why, he went from wanting to hand this down to his family and wanting always to be having a McMahon to wanting to sell it. So if you would get rid of the McMahons after the sale, who would you put in place? Depends on. See, that would be up to who bought it, because there's a lot of guys that are in wrestling right now. There are hundreds of guys that are out there that that are working for other companies. There are guys that are working for WWE. There are guys that are working for New Japan. There are guys that are working for MLW. There are guys that are that are working all over the world, and there are guys that are within the company that are WWE that are not McMahon's that they could bring in a chief of operations. There's a lot of people. I would probably hire somebody from New Japan or AEW, because the transition between another major federation that already is on TV twice a week and already has pay-per-views, and that's another thing. The demand for WWE pay-per-views used to be skyrocketing high. When they went to the 12 pay-per-view a month model, and they were charging a lot, $49 to $59 $10 a month for the pay-per-view. They were when the pay-per-view was doing well, they continued to do that. And now you can get everything on Peacock. Whereas AEW, even though they don't do 12 pay-per-views a year, which I think is too many for any company to do, I'm still paying top dollar, So there's a demand out there for that product. I think that the fact that go ahead.
AEW seems to be a better group anyway. I've been kind of doing my research on it. They seem to be a better, more entertaining group anyway.
I personally think they put on better matches. They have some booking issues. They all have booking issues, but I think the matches are better. And I think they had the advantage of watching what WWE did, prior to them coming in and not making a lot of those mistakes. So, yeah, I do think AEW has more of an upside because there's more room for them to grow. Now, if you want to say which one's historically better, obviously WWE is historically better. But from where we're sitting right now, 10:17 p.m. on January 7, there's more room for growth with AEW than there is for WWE. Haven't watched WWE since July 2020. Through the clips, I see that it still seems as bad as Triple H is in charge. It's better, but once again, you can't, have things go that way for 16, 17, 18 years. It would have taken him 2 years to get that product back to where it was prior to that. All right, Daniel Martin, have you guys watched You Cannot Kill David Arquette? Pretty wild. Arquette had something going on with his brain when he went to a neurologist. I believe that. All right, Kenny Omega bores the heck out of me. Oh, St. Clinton. See, might have to ban somebody here. In the 50-plus years that I've been watching, I don't see anything special about Kenny Omega. Clinton, come on, man. Did you watch Okada and Omega? Hell, he carried Jericho in one of Jericho's best matches of his career. Did you watch Omega and Ospreay this last Wednesday? How does that bore you, dude? That almost stopped my heart. Some of the stuff that he did. And even the stuff that he's done in AEW, all of his title matches were great. He carried Rich Swann. He was an Impact champion. To each his own. I think Kenny Omega, and I think he wrestled, in my opinion, to be the best wrestler in the world. And then Will Ospreay the other night. But everybody's different. One wrestling fan to another. I still can't believe you think that way. All right, hold on. I'm still stuck with WWF. Yeah, a lot of people have been calling it that. All right, on that. Okay, here's another reading one for you. Go ahead and read that one, Thade. That one's for you.
Okay,
Still there?
Humans, awesome. I'm on a very slow reread. Oh yeah, he's talking about the Dark Tower stuff. Apparently, she's reading it. His girlfriend's reading it in Spanish, and he's reading it in English. Which interesting.
Just go ahead and skip those last 100 pages, buddy.
Only the last book.
Oh. I actually want to see NWA when Paul Orndorff, Road Warriors, George, the Animal Steel were over there at the Omni in Atlanta. Wow. How old are you, Daniel? You're in my era. How you doing? Okay, someone who watched the Beast Wars, I'm looking forward to. I guess, yeah, that makes sense. If you watch Beast Wars, you got a direct lineage to this. I just haven't been getting excited about Transformers movies since they just seem to be making them just to make them, and it's like, ugh. Vince coming back to solely sell WWE off is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's 77. I don't think he appreciated being put on the sidelines. If you're Vince McMahon and you've been doing whatever the hell you want since forever, bought women on the side with no consequences, you're not sitting too well with somebody pushing your company that you made and forcing you out. You're not okay with that. His ego, no way in hell his ego is going to. And to be honest with you, as much as I think he's damage he's done, he's right. And if there is going to be a sale, then he should be the one to facilitate it. He owns the majority of the stock. But yeah, but that's why he's coming back. That's why he's coming back, because he had, I don't know, man. I just, like I said, it's going to be interesting if they do sell and who they sell it to. It's got to be Comcast. I mean, if it's not Comcast, what the fuck, Comcast? All right, okay, translation. That's more Dark Tower stuff. All right, let's see. Winding down Prime, hearing that there's silly rumors about the Snyderverse going to Netflix. I heard those rumors too. Like I said, they're unsubstantiated, but I had said this a couple of months ago. Why not? If you're selling off assets, and I'm not saying sell off Superman altogether, you still do your Superman with James Gunn and everything else. But if you can make money off of an IP and still carry on with that IP, why not let the greed help you? Greed is good here. Sell that off. He's already got a Zack Snyder's had a good working relationship with them. I don't think you have to charge them a lot of money for it. Let them pay for it. Let them take the liability. Under the circumstances, if you're James Gunn and Zaslav, under these circumstances, is that you are doing this to wrap it up. We're not doing it to have two universes, one outside of our control, running forever. You're buying this, purchasing the rights to tell this story, and that's it. Once that story is told, then that is it. But win-win for everybody. Warner Brothers Discovery would make cash. That's all profit for them because the production would be handled by Netflix. The financiers and financial would be happening Netflix. They would license it out for a set amount of money. Win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? But I heard that rumor. I didn't know if it was substantiated or not by anybody, but it may sound like a silly move, but why not? Why not just listen? I get tired. There's money on the table. I'm seeing too many people leave cash on the table. All right, and this to me, sell that story to somebody. They buy it, they end it, and that's it. You don't have to compete with a competing narrative on the big screen because you can say, "Oh, it's only going to go on Netflix. It's only going to go on Netflix," and then you just wrap it up. That's what I would do. But hey,
that's what makes the most logical sense to me. But
yeah,
WB doesn't have to do what makes logical sense.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, listen, this Rebel Moon and Army of the Dead and all that, these are great, and I'm glad he's doing them, but they're not Superman. They're not Batman. And I am one of those guys. You're like, well, you're not a Snyder fan if you just like this comic book stuff. I'm a fucking comic book guy. Why shouldn't I have a comic book preference? Of course, if I had a chance for Zach to make a next movie, it's going to be a comic book movie. That's why I came to that circle. That's why I started watching his movies when I saw 300 and when I saw Watchmen. I'm a comic book guy. Of course, I'm biased. I mean, I will watch Rebel Moon as soon as it comes out. I watched Army of the Dead. But if I had the choice of what movie to be made and one had to go, it's comic book from front to back. I'm a comic book guy. So I'm not, people, we will always say, well, you're not a fan. No, I just know what the fuck I like. I am a comic book guy. I'm always going to rule out any other genre before comic books if it comes to that, especially if the stuff I like from the guy is predominantly comic book stuff. And it's not knocking Rebel Moon. It's not knocking Army of the Dead. It's just my preference is comic books.
Can we just, I don't know, normalize stopping telling people that they're fans or not fans or what the fuck ever? Like, how about we just stop telling each other how to be fans? That works for me. Like, each fandom is different to each person. Sorry, it just is. If I get one more person this week tell me I'm not a good fan of something, I swear to God, somebody's getting slapped.
Yeah, what you're saying here is sort of true, but at the same time, if there's money to be made, then there's has nothing to do with the extremists or even me. If there is a transaction to be made and somebody's saying, here's this suitcase full of money for this, and Netflix can make their money off of it. Netflix should do a limited release if they want to, split the distribution fees and with Warner Brothers if they want to do it that way. Everybody wins. Everybody makes money. We don't have to do things just because a particular part of a fandom wants them. We need to be doing things because it's our job to make money. All right, that's what that's where we see. I think from business out. I'm like, what can we do to make money? That's why I think reboots are fucking stupid. Reboot basically takes the money that you have, take 3/4 of that money, and just throw it in the wind. and keep a few dollars. That's what reboots and stuff mean. That's why I don't want reboots, and that's why I think that you need to complete your Snyder storyline, not just because I want it as a Snyder fan, because as somebody who has to pay bills based on risk, that's what you should be doing. Because if you complete that lineage, these new people you're bringing in, you're selling all that to them too. All right, physical media, the whole deal. Everybody's like, well, they've given their reasons why they want this back. I'm giving the only reason that really matters: money, cash. Get paid, everybody. So if you restore it, it's not restore the Snyderverse, it's resolve the Snyderverse, so that when you start anything else, people can take you seriously, that you can finish something. Because right now, that's the big elephant in the room when it comes to DC, Warner, or anything. Can you finish what you started? Am I about, even a general fan, am I about to get in this car with you and go on this road trip just for you to dump me out on the side of the road before you even hit the highway? But if you can consolidate and complete these things, then you could just go ahead and keep that lineage going. Go your own way, but resolve your stuff. That's business. That's money. It has nothing to do with any cult. That doesn't have to do with any fandom. That is finishing what you started, because when you make a stronger line, you can continue to make money off of every demographic you bring in. A brand new guy who's never seen a DC film that's going to see James Gunn's Superman, right? Do I just want his $10 or $14 from that one movie? No, I want him buying everything that I put out the last 15 years. And I need him to have a reason to do that. But if you reboot and cut up the timeline and do all this dumb shit, you devalue your library. So I'm in it for, I'm thinking from purely cash point of view.
And you pissed off your customer, because then they're confused. And a confused customer is not a repeat customer.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to they're cutting tons of money right now, but that's only going to be that's not going to be forever. They're cutting tons of money because they absorbed a lot of debt. But they're doing this to put themselves into a position to spend money, because like I said, we're going ahead with Superman movies and Batman movies and all these things. You're not doing that shit for low budget. All right, you are not doing that stuff for low budget. You are spending good money to make Superman. You are spending good money to make Batman. You are spending good money to make a Justice League or whatever the hell it is that spawns out of what he does. You are not making those movies for cheap. So they have the money to spend on things that they think can make them money. Like I said, there are companies that are in bankruptcy that are purchased other companies. There's a movie theater right now. Both of them are in bankruptcy, but one of them's trying to buy the other, because they can prove to their shareholders and their debt collectors that this will help us draw revenue at a quicker rate than what we're doing now. So they're cutting tons, but they're cutting a lot of stupid shit too. They're cutting stuff that no one is watching. I love Raised by Wolves. Love that show, right? Got canceled because it's a really expensive show and nobody was watching it. I liked Westworld, even though I think this last season of Westworld wasn't very good and they could have ended it there. But I wouldn't have cried in my beer over another season. I would watch it if I got it. I love that show, but it was immensely expensive to make and people weren't watching it. Not enough people to justify the money. That doesn't mean you're broke. That just means you're getting rid of shit that is just not making you money. You got to do it. If I got a comic on my shelf that is not making me money, I got to get rid of it. Even if I read it and I like it, if it's not making me money, it's got to go. Especially if I want to make purchases and get other merchandise in the store that I know I can make money off of, I got to cut the dead weight and cut the dead expenses. That's exactly what Warner Brothers is doing. All right, probably its advertising budget is going to be. Yeah, they're going deep. They're going deep for the Flash. All right, WB is cutting now. They're done cutting in time for business. Yeah. They even put out that statement that they're done with the write downs. Oh, it's going to be about $4 million. It's going to be about minimum $4. I remember when it was $3 million for 30 seconds, and 30 for 40 second ad. It's Super Bowl. Be about 4. Yep. It's going to be. So they got the money. I only muted you a little bit today because I was coming back real quick. So if you have anything to say, just go ahead and unmute and just jump on in whenever you want. All right. So Michael Command Jr. Hey, William, do you think that Hulu Live TV is worth the price? Depends. I still have cable because it's a write-off for me, but I like, there are 2 programs that I did try that I really, really, really liked. Hulu Live TV and YouTube TV. I thought YouTube was slightly better, but not by much. Not by much. They were like neck and neck. So, what do you think, Nate, about Hulu?
Hulu Live TV is very expensive, and take it from somebody who is involved with most, if not all, of the streaming services.
How much is it? Is it $39?
$79 for the live TV portion. But that's Disney. It's Hulu Live with no commercials. Hold on, I'll bring it up and I'll read it to you what it is.
Okay, yeah, because I thought it was much cheaper than that. But quality-wise, Michael, I think they're both good. I thought personally that YouTube TV was better, but Hulu, let's hear what they'd have to say with that price. I thought it was only $39, but holy shit.
Hulu Live TV with ads, Disney Plus with ads, ESPN with ads. That's a bundle. It's $69.99 a month. Without ads, it's $82.99 a month.
What about Hulu Live just without the bundle?
Without the bundle, it's $68.99 a month.
Whoa, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it's still cheaper than cable, Mike, because cable minimum is you got, especially if you have a broadband. Like I have that bundle. I have cable here and I have cable at my house, but like I said, I write them both off as business write-off, so it's not too bad for me. But if you're just a regular homeowner and you're wanting to cut the cord, that price, if it's, if that also, is significantly less.
A lot of people don't realize that Amazon Prime also has live TV, and so does Peacock.
Yeah. So, and I haven't gone that far with all of them, but yeah, there's Larry Kozlowski. They should make a DC world, like a Gotham area, Metropolis, etc., with various attractions, activities, and rides if they really want to make money. The only thing about that is I don't know if Warner Brothers would have to sell that to somebody else, and I don't know if they want to, because I don't think Warner Brothers ever wants to get into the parks business.
Six Flags actually does the Warner Park side of it is Six Flags. So anywhere you have a Six Flags, they're going to have DC areas and areas at the Six Flags. So they already kind of do this, Larry. I know because I've got a Six Flags over Texas, just like 30 minutes from me.
We called it Magic Mountain. It was Magic Mountain when I was a kid. The one in LA.
Yeah.
It's called Magic Mountain. Paul Heyman. Yep, I forgot about Impact Wrestling.
But they still use the Looney Tunes logos at Six Flags and DC.
All right. Warner should just sell some assets like CNN. Bezos is ready to buy. It would go a long way. I'm going to say the only reason. Well, first of all, the shareholders would never allow that to happen, because the assets you're talking about are some of the biggest names ever. They're pretty much priceless. I would lease them. And if that was what you mean, I would, like I said with the Netflix thing, I would lease Superman with conditions to Netflix in order to finish a certain story. I don't know if they want to have too many other people involved. And see, CNN Plus, all that's a news agency with a lot of dense competition. There is no, when you're talking about comic book IPs, the competition is not such to the point where you have to pull back. Just because there's an MCU, we had DC movies make plenty of money. With CNN, MSNBC, and a lot of people are just not getting their news from cable news anymore. They're getting it from the internet, which I don't think is the greatest thing. But it depends on what assets you're talking about. But the assets that would make you any significant money in order to even be worth it to do it would be the Trinity. And like I said, if I'm a stockholder, I'm going to handcuff you to your desk to make sure you and unplug your computer and take it away from you to make sure you can't do something that's silly. That's sell Blue Bleeder or something like that. How you doing, Chappie? Ooh, how far behind am I? Okay, there was a Batman exhibition at the Spy Museum in New York. Yeah, it depends on how much they want to invest into it too. All right, let's go down here. May 1999, my friend was watching it. Yep, it came on over to tell me about it. It was you were 15. How old was I in May 1999?
They still use the DC. they still use the DC licensing at Six Flags theme parks. So a lot of the rides are named after. You've got the Aquaman ride coming soon to the park down
Oh,
here.
that's right. Yeah, you're right. They should expand. I wonder how much it will cost them to go all in and something like that. It's got to be pretty expensive.
Oh, I'm sure, but hell, Six Flags still makes a shit ton of money. So I mean,
I know.
If WBD wanted to work with the Six Flags parks, they could probably push it all the way with the Looney Tunes and DC stuff at Six Flags.
Okay, how you doing, Hunter Iggy? This would be 100% bullshit if this ever fucking happens. First of all, women, you can forget about, drawing money, because the Saudis they had to negotiate for months to let women wrestle over there, and then they had to be covered up. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want the Saudi regime running anything American. I just don't know. I mean, now, I mean, I don't know. That would cause a lot of conflicts of interest. I'm surprised that Vince has done it as many times as he has. I know it's big money, but at the same time, when you got to tell your wrestlers, what they can and can't do after 360 some odd days of the year doing it one way, we got to do it a different way over there. I don't know. I don't know if that was and then you'd have to go. I don't even know if the FCC would even allow that, because then you'd have to go private because you have a public, a public. I don't know. I think that'd be a horrible idea for a bunch of reasons. Eddie Guerrero having a heart attack was tough to watch. Yeah, and that's what sent Chris Benoit. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on with Chris Benoit, but that was the one that really affected him. They were best buds going back to WCW. Oh, the football. Listen, I don't know if I could ever put him back on the field again. I don't know if I could ever put that guy back on the field again. He can be a coach. He can cash in on his insurance policy and get his millions that way. He can be a college coach. He can be a commentator. I mean,
I'd be afraid to put him back. I'd be afraid to put him back.
Yeah, I would be terrified. I would always be cringing, because it's not like an ankle or an ACL or a concussion. It's your heart.
No trainer worth his salt is going to put him back on the field right now.
And if I'm out there playing against him, I'm like, I don't want to hit this guy.
No.
I'm sorry, dude. I mean,
you have to make some real decisions when it comes to his career.
Yeah. It's horrible that, your career is going to be cut short, but you're 24 years old. You got some millions. Your insurance policy that every NFL player has should give you a couple more millions. You'll be able to do anything you want in Buffalo. Be a coach, be an assistant coach. You still make, some money there. Come up through the system, but don't put your life. I mean, you don't have to work for money right now. You're 24, dude. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not going to come back. I would just be terrified if I was a coach to be like, because until we know exactly, we think we know what happened, but at the same time, and he's a defensive end, you get hit. You get hit in the chest. It's part of the game.
With the damage I hate to say it, but with the damage he took, their insurance is not going to want to insure him on the field.
They won't have a choice, because it did happen on the field, and that's part of the thing. They tried to fight that before.
I'm saying further. I'm not saying for what happened to him. I'm saying
further. If he gets back on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, no. Then they're going to tell the team that too. They're going to be like, no. Nope. I mean, because like I said, that was so fucking scary. And then, like I said, thousands of miles away, not a Buffalo Bills fan, but as a human being, to watch all that happen, and those guys were heroes to get him back going twice and get him to the point where he didn't even suffer any brain damage. He was, a lot of times when you don't have the respiratory system working like that, it causes the brain damage. And when they said that the lights are on and somebody was home, those doctors were saying that, I'm like,
yeah.
And I don't do a lot of praying. I'm not a religious guy, but I was praying for that guy. And I would hate to see him.
I was impressed he didn't take me hypoxia with that injury.
Yeah, I mean, no, I hope I understand what you're saying, Aaron. I just hope I hope he doesn't, because I would I would hate for him to get through all this and take another hit to the chest, and then, oh yeah, that would oh no.
Those kind of injuries are not easy to come back from, and very
Yeah,
often
and it's just a risk. He can live a healthy life for the rest of his life, but at the same time, it's an impact sport, and your heart stopped because of an impact. Oh, Jamar, please don't do it. Make somebody pay him. If I'm Buffalo, I'm paying you your contract.
Well, I'd pay his contract, but I'd make him a coach.
Yeah, he's only coach. You're going to sit here in street clothes, and you're going to be an assistant coach. You're automatically an assistant coach now. We're going to train you as assistant coach. You're going to be the special team. You're going to make some money. But we're not putting you back on there. We're not going to put you back on there. I would be terrified to put him back on here. All right. Let's see. What's wrong with John's? Yes, Prime, you are 100% correct. Okay, he's one of the best storytellers of his generation. When he's got an editor over him, tell him no on certain things. Like, let's watch Watchmen Doomsday Clock. Telling you, that he wanted to basically do another retcon, and they stopped him. So, but even then, aside from comics, there's a difference between a cinematic storyteller and a movie maker and a comic book writer. A comic book writer should be the consultant in most cases, and that's his case. Like Joss Whedon could do both, but Jeff Johns, not everybody can. And Jeff Johns is one of the guys who's a really great comic book storyteller, but it did not translate into the organizational skills that it takes to run, a movie. Not everybody has that. And, that somebody above him should have said, this isn't working. But remember, there was bad management. Oh, Lord. Let me read this. Hold on, I'm going to mute you while I read this. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is emerging as a possible bidder. When they say Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, that's Prince Mohammed Al bin Saud. That's the prince and that's the king. That's their name for it's pretty much their slush fund. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is emerging to a possible bidder for WWE if it decides to sell, according to the front office sports. They could outbid. I guess they could outbid Comcast, but Comcast, you need to fight. Like the Beastie Boys said, you need to fight for your right to party. You're about to lose a whole bunch because then you got to deal through the Saudis. You're not even dealing with an American company anymore for stuff that's going to be on American TV. And the Saudis will take control of that revenue because they'll not only will they host the pay-per-views, they'll want the money from the pay-per-views. They would have the right to sell those TV rights to anybody else, including them. But you would be paying a whole bunch of you're going to pay more money having to be associated with WWE by not buying them. Like I said, Comcast has got a lot of money. I don't know if they can outbid a Saudi king. I hope they can because I don't know. I don't know, man. That's then the question of who would run it. Now that's what you're talking about. Who runs it under a Saudi regime? Is it an American puppet one, or is it going to be somebody from there? Being a good writer doesn't mean you know how to structure a movie. Yeah, exactly. Chappie, Jeff Johns was one of the people responsible for the disaster that was Justice League. Yeah. And to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that he wrote that kind of got out of control for comic books from 2011 on is one of the major reasons why comic book sales aren't what they should be, because a lot of his retcons and reboots and things that he did cut the lineage off and really drove down the value of some of the stuff that was already out there. There's so many reasons you could be laughing at me right now, Larry, so I don't know which one it is. Cautionary tale of Owen Hart plus Brian Pillman, 35 years old, heart diseases or painkillers. Did they ever determine the cause of death? Brian Pillman died of an enlarged heart that was probably caused by painkillers, because once you reach your 30s, your vascular system slows down just a little bit. But when you're dealing with an enlarged heart, it doesn't, you're starting to deal with a lot of issues. Owen Hart Owen Hart died from blunt force trauma to the chest. I don't know if he was on any particular drugs or if they ever found drugs in his system. He died of blunt force trauma to the chest, and his heart stopped. Brian Pillman had done things throughout his career that caught up to him. He did a lot of stuff up in his career, and it caught up to him. But like I said, Tom Zink, a guy he partnered with, same thing. A lot of these guys in that thing, in that era. And remember, before you even see a guy like Brian Pillman on TV and some of these other guys, they're wrestling in the indies, they're wrestling in warehouses, they're wrestling in school gyms, they're busting their ass and tearing their body up at a level that you don't even see yet. By the time that they get to the TV, WWE or AEW, they've been all over the world and they've ran their bodies into the ground, and now they're going to do it on a much higher level. So the only way that they could do it during that era was the painkillers and roids. And the roids and the stuff that they were doing was so that their bodies would heal back. You know what? That's one of the main things. The steroid just doesn't give you muscle mass, but it also helps that muscle mass and back fat and all that. It helps you heal. That's why it's considered performing enhancing and drug when you talk about baseball or football, because without that certain athletes would not even be able to take the field, even if they don't bulk up. All right, did McMahon lose a lot of capital? He did. And he's lost money too when the stock value. When you're a public company, you could wake up the next morning and the stock is like, oh shit, that took a dive. So he wants to buy it. I can understand. Congratulations to the Jags, their AFC South champions. Yeah, I was watching that game because the Raiders got destroyed earlier today. Tennessee handed that game to him. Score said, yeah, there were some people down here who downstairs at the Square Bar who had action on that game. And when that happened, you could feel that they had action on that game, because you can always tell here in Vegas when you could go to a sports book or a bar and you can tell when someone's got their fucking rent money on this game, because it's not just a missed field goal or a fumble or a 4 and out. It's their light bill. It's that car payment. And you can just see the life just leave their body, and they're like, oh, it's that collective oh shit when shit like that happens.
I've seen that before.
I mean, oh. All right, Jesse the Body Ventura could run WWE. He already has proved he has a know-how to make storylines and feuds, something Bischoff can do. WCW, yeah. Jesse, I don't know if Jesse the Body even wants to do anything, but he's something that somebody like him would be all right, maybe.
He's a politician now, man. He's
a governor. He's an ex-governor, Navy SEAL. Dude, I found out more about Jesse the Body after wrestling, that I had so much. A Navy SEAL back in the early stages of being a Navy SEAL in like Vietnam era. All right, speaking of wrestling, and we always are you guys a fan of Kaiju, Big Batel at all? Don't get to see a lot of them, but I had a friend who used to be Dr. Cube, and his real dream was that WWE had a character and finishing move, but we lost touch recently. Wow, that's even for a guy who watches Japanese wrestling. That's a not an obscure one, but I know who you're talking about though. Kenny Omega is Jim Cornette's favorite wrestler. Okay, all right, that's not Kenny Omega's fault that he has that knucklehead as a fan. In Jim Cornette, I grew up idolizing Jim Cornette because he could run. Other than Ric Flair, when Jim Cornette got on the mic and started running his mouth, I thought I was in church. But he's become a grumpy old man. He's become a curmudgeon. And it's like, same thing with Bischoff. I'm like, dude, just guys can't be fans anymore. William Powell, Will Ospreay wants to wrestle Seth Rollins. That'd be a good matchup. I think, obviously, we're talking about pre-stage stuff, but I think I like Seth Rollins as a performer. I just think Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. I mean, I will argue that again. And he has so many moves in his repertoire, and his style is so different that I think he would have to carry a match against anyone else. The only person I don't think he'd have to carry the match against is the one he just wrestled. It's Kenny Omega or Okada. Yeah, as far as move per move and keeping you engaged and blending that strong style and that lucha libre style, Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. I love, win or lose, I stayed up 2-3 o'clock in the morning to watch that match. That's how much I think he's good. He's not even 30 yet. But yeah, I listen. Will Ospreay versus anybody is going to be a good match because I think Will Ospreay will bring out the best technique in Seth Rollins and about anybody. I do enjoy the ladies wrestling in WWE. You know what? That is one thing that I think they have done right. And the one thing I will give kudos to WWE about is they weren't afraid to put Charlotte, Ronda Rousey, and Becky in a main event of a WrestleMania or in a main event of a SummerSlam or pay-per-view. They were not afraid to go all out and put those matches on the same level, if not higher, as whatever was going on at that time. And in sports, that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen because generally your draw is your men. But, with wrestling, it's different. But even still, if you look at the other major federations, their women's stories and their women's matches at a lot of times put their other booking to shame. All right, so that is one thing that's one of the reasons why I don't completely DVR through them, because there are Alexa Bliss, I think, is immensely talented. Ronda Rousey is a good draw, but I don't think she's the best wrestler. Charlotte Flair is an excellent athlete. Becky Lynch, not recently. Ever since she's come back, I don't think she's had her edge as much. Bianca Belair, somebody that big and powerful and to be that agile. Bailey, Dakota Kai. I mean, so they're women stable, and like I said, the one thing that they've always done, at least until the last 5 or 6 years, is they weren't afraid. If there was heat on a feud, those women will be in the main event of a Raw or a pay-per-view. Everything else that they've done, I think, has pretty much been mundane and not that great. But their women's division and how they handle them, they have done a great job with that. So you're laughing at me again, Larry. What are you doing? Gen X in the building. Yeah. I remember when they were the hottest thing going back like I said, back before the product started to turn stale. Generation X and that music. Are you ready? All right, Chappie, William, and Thade. Oftentimes I wonder why was Jeff Johns and John Byrne put in charge of the heads of DC Films for them to get fired after Justice League instead of the old execs of board, because you had bad management, and you had bad management on top of bad management. You not only did you have bad management, you had AT&T bad management. So yeah,
and even more bad management.
Yeah. So there wasn't anybody competent enough above them to make the decision. So that's just a simple answer I have.
Nobody brain was in charge. So
yeah, everybody wanted to cut their checks and leave. You're making fun of me? So I'm Generation X. Yeah, I'm happy to be a Generation Xer, man. We had the best music. I feel sorry for you millennials, and what's the other one you got? The Generation Y or whatever.
Generation Whiners? No.
Yeah, well, you guys, I listened to your guys' music that you guys got coming up, dude. I had the grunge era, I had the post-punk era, I had the post-grunge era, I had the metal era, and my Generation X, I've listened to some of the best shit out there, and I'm open-minded to listening to some of the new stuff, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. You guys are coming up with some really soft stuff. So yeah, I'm a Generation Xer. Yeah, I said it. I'm a proud Generation Xer. Damn it. Stand up to any damn millennial in your playlist. And your playlist, if it's any good, it's stuff from my era.
Anything from the 40s to the 90s was good music. A little bit of the early 2000s. Everything else after that,
people like Kevin Tsuchihara and Toby Emmerich, which thank God those people are gone. Yeah, that's the answer to the previous question, by the way. You had Heckle and Jekyll running the show there. William, myself, Zach Sanders, Justice League. It's cash. It's cash. And like I said, you solve a lot of problems. You get cash, and you can show your investor, hey, not only are we cutting, but guess what? We just made some cash. And we gave them ground rules so that we don't have to worry about James Gunn having his focus of his Superman and his stuff split. We gave them the rights to do this. They pay this amount of money. We get a cut of certain things, and you get to wrap up this storyline. Netflix is paying. And Netflix could probably do it for a decent budget, because a lot of the stuff they will be purchasing is stuff that they could repurpose footage. Like how many times can I repurpose the Apocalypse Earths. I could reshoot and repurpose that a bunch of different times. So, and I know those guys would want to do it to wrap up their stuff. So I would say, hey, listen, Netflix, I'm going to sell you the rights to do 3 movies under the conditions that we're going to sell this to you. You can do whatever you want with it, but it's over after this, and it's not canon to our universe. But you're going to give us this money. Say it's $100 million, whatever. I'm just throwing a number out there, and you get to make these movies. And your merchandising deals, we get a cut. If you do a doll of this, you do a hot toy, or if you do figures Target exclusive like that, we get this amount from it. You get this amount from it. Everybody gets paid. Everybody gets paid. And then what you could do after it's all said and done, you could write into that deal that when it rotates out of Netflix, it rotates right on the HBO Max or Discovery Max, or whatever the hell they're going to call it. All right, everybody wins. Everybody gets paid. And not just satisfying whiny Steiner fans like what they call us. Forget about us. Money. All right? That sound of money is louder than anybody's desire for whining. Get that cash, man. I don't know why, that's what I do. Just do it so people shut up. No, don't do it for that reason. Do it to get paid. All right? They're in business to make money. I understand these decisions. Get paid. Don't do it to shut anybody up. Do it to get that money. Do it to get those licensing deals. Do it to get those action figure deals percentages that you get. It's all profit, because as a distributor and as a person that licensee, they pay for all of that stuff. When Sandman came over to Netflix, Netflix took the dime on that. They took the risk on that. All right, and guess who got paid? DC got paid. Forget about pleasing a fandom. Please that wallet. It's money. I don't know. That's maybe I'm just thinking too much about money lately. All right, reading stadiums a lot. Listen, dude, Dr. Scipio, we need to stop bringing up reading Stephen King books. All you do is make me angrier and angrier of the story I followed for my entire life, and was left hanging. Just left hanging at book 7. Not going to spoil it for those of you who haven't read Dark Tower book 7, but I think you're going to be pissed off. But Salem's Lot was a pretty good book and an even creepier movie. Darcipio Chuds are already destroying the Last of Us show. I haven't even seen it. Is that out? Hey, Thane, is The Last of Us out yet? When does The Last of Us hit? Anybody in the chat? Yeah, because I actually want to watch that. We may do a show about that, to be honest with you. That may be a Sunday night thing for us to do.
We could do that like we did with House of Dragon.
Yeah.
January 15th.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's coming up here pretty quick. Yeah, it's coming up here pretty quick.
Okay, we're gonna have to figure that out. I'll give it a shot. Hold on for a second. Go ahead and answer some quick questions real quick. I gotta go use the restroom.
All right.
And I will be right.
So, what is everybody up to today besides with the wrestling? Because I'm not really the wrestling guy. That's more Williams Hang. No, I do agree with William about the whole, sell the Snyderverse stuff to Netflix. Let's see if he'll work with it there. License out your stuff, man. Take the money up off the ground, because you're just leaving it laying around, Right. I feel you on that. Of course she is. Joy Behar's crazy. There's a reason why I don't watch The View. Because blaming people, regardless of what side of the road you're on, blaming other people for, blaming. Oh, am I reading any current comics? Yes, I am actually reading Something's Killing the Children here lately. I've been reading some DC Black Label stuff. I've gone back and read some of the older books that I was the storylines that I was into. I actually just went back and reread Death of Superman and Funeral for a Friend, which was really good. It's about as good as I remember it. Of course, I always look at I've been reading the new X-Men stuff too, just things of that nature. What are you reading, Lily? Daniel? But yeah, there's about 5-6 books I read religiously right now, and then the rest of it's just add-on stuff. I've been reading Hellions. I've been reading X-Men, stuff like that. 8 Billion Genies. That's cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to look at some of the indie stuff, like Something's Killing the Children. There's one. It's a DC comic, but I think it's Black Label. It's called Something House on the Lake or something like that. That looked really interesting. I've got it bookmarked. I might start reading it here soon. Let's see. See, I read all my comics digital these days. I pay for my fiance and I have we paid for a year for Marvel and a year for DC. Their digital lines. Final Crisis trade paperback. Oh, that's cool. Hold on, let me see where that bookmark is real quick. I'm about to start reading Flashpoint Beyond. Oh, it's called A Nice House on the Lake. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm also looking into Dark Knights of Steel, which deals with Batman and Superman.
Yeah, Dark Knight Steel is really good. Dark Knight Steel. You know what? That line, and even going all the way back to Dark Knight's Metal. I don't know if you brought that one up. Oh wow, dude! Everybody who has eyeballs should be reading that.
William, do you know anything about The Nice House on the Lake?
Yeah, I bought it I have it on my shelf right now.
What have you read it?
The Black Label title. It's kind of macabre. I mean, I don't read it. But it sells very well for me.
Yeah,
it's one of the. Hold on for a second.